On the agenda today, we're going to be looking at the workflow of the entire CRISPIN product range. So this will be Last Maker, Shoemaker, Engineer Pro, Shoe Cost, Tech Pack, and finally we'll be looking at ShoeCloud, which is our data storage solution. As you can see, there are a lot of products here, so this will be quite a fast-moving presentation. So to represent our workflow today, we have this world. So on one side of the world, we have our headquarters, and on the other side, we have our factory where the shoes are made. And above this, we have our data storage solution. So right at the beginning of the workflow, we have our designers working away in the headquarters, looking at the initial sketching, the initial ideas, the trend forecasts, the materials, colours, and last shapes they are going to use for this season. So this whole time they need to be working alongside the factory to source these materials and to create these last shapes. So they can store data in the ShoeCloud, and this data can then be retrieved by the factory. So ShoeCloud is a product lifecycle management system. It's been produced specifically for the footwear industry. It is based on PSTeam, and it can be accessed either through a web browser or directly through the CRISPIN product interfaces. So over in the factory, we can begin working on the last creation. So to do this, we can use Last Maker Pro, and this allows us to modify existing lasts and also grade them. Okay, so this is the information that has been given to me by the designers. And as you can see, I have some information about the heel height, the toe spring, and also the bottom template. So I've also got a design type here, as well as a size and just some general information. So I'm just going to open up Last Maker, and we're going to look at some of the tools that are available to modify lasts. Okay, so as you can see, I have ShoeCloud open here, so I'm just going to leave that there for now. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to search through my last database. So I know that the style of the shoe is a boat shoe. So I'm just going to enter boat shoe into my parameters, and I'm going to search lasts. So as you can see, I've only got one last open here, so I'm just going to select that and open up the last. So as you can see, it's very quick to open up my last from that database, and I can now begin modifying it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to go to Modify Activity, and I'm going to go to this advanced area here. So this allows me to dynamically change any areas of the last and also key enter different values to change the areas of the last. So I can look at the toe area, the ball area, and I can also change the overall scale as well as the heel heights. So the first thing we do is I'm going to change the height of the heel. So I'm going to change it by pulling this little arrow here dynamically downwards. So I'm going to change it to about half of the previous size, which was 24 to 12. So once I'm happy with the changes that I've made, I can simply right-click and I can exit the form. So these tools allow me to eliminate the need for using machinery and tools and hand changing the last. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a template. So my designers specified that they wanted a round toe, and at the moment I've got a square toe. So I'm just going to use a template to change this. So I'm just going to open up this DXF file, and as you can see, this is now changed to a round toe. So if I just zoom in, I'm just going to undo that because it happens very quickly. So you can see at the moment it's a square toe. If I redo those changes, you can see it's now changed to a round toe. So there are a number of different tools that are available here. I'm just going to give you just a taste today. So you can do things like swap the toes from one last to another last. You can also add a boot extension as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this back into the cloud. So I'm going to go Save, Check In, and Assign. So this allows me to add some comments. So I'm going to ask the designers to please review and approve. Okay, so I'm just going to assign it to someone and select OK. So once I've assigned this to somebody, they will receive an email, they will see my comments and also the model, and they can add their own comments to this particular document. Okay, so once I have added my document to the ShoeCloud, it can then be opened up by the designers on the other side of the world in the headquarters. So the designers are now able to use that last alongside Shoemaker Pro to design some virtual 3D footwear. So this will include creating panels, adding stitches, punches, laces, as well as sole units. There's also an extensive library of materials and accessories. You can also add your own materials and create your own accessories. So once a model has been created using Shoemaker Pro, we are then also able to create 2D patterns from this. So this is using CRISPIN's Engineer. So I'm just going to open up Shoemaker Pro, and I'm going to show you how quick it is to create a virtual model. So as you can see, I've got that same last open in the modeling window, and the first thing I'm going to do is add some design lines. So I'm going to go and I'm going to apply an Illustrator file. So this is just some vectors that have been drawn in Adobe Illustrator and then saved as a .ai file. So this really allows me to work in the 2D and then move to working in the 3D after I've done my initial sketching. So Illustrator is the industry standard for designers. It's one of the most widely used vector packages. So once I've got these sets of lines into position, I can simply wrap them onto the last, and this will project all of those lines and nodes that I created in Illustrator onto the last. So if I select these, I can then grab any of these nodes and I can edit them just as if they were design lines created within Shoemaker Pro. Okay, so I can use any number of the tools down this left-hand side that are available to me. So I can cut these lines, I can erase these lines, and I can also mirror these lines onto the other side of the model, so I have a very quickly built up design. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete all these lines just for the purpose of the demonstration, and I've got some just saved onto another level down here. So if I take a look at these in the 2D view, we can see that we have a set of flattened lines here. So I could just leave this design here, and this can be taken through to Engineer, and the technicians can create the patterns just from these lines. So this is also a great way of creating designs because the pattern engineer doesn't have to interpret a set of 2D sketches. They have the exact lines on the exact glass that they're going to use. So once I'm back in 3D, I can start adding some panels. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to go panel, and I'm going to select this area here. So because this area has no intersecting lines, it's very simple. Shoemaker will automatically generate this panel for me. So I can then double click on this panel. I can change the offset. So this is the distance it is away from the last. I can also change the thickness, but I'm just going to leave that for now. Okay, so the next thing I can do is I can open up my materials. And again, I could add all of my materials into this library, but Shoemaker does have default materials here, so I can just drag and drop these materials into the modeling window, and you can see the material on that piece there just changes as I do this. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn on the rest of my panels. Again, I've got this just simply saved onto another level. Okay, so you can see here are the rest of my panels, and I'm just going to use paste attributes just to take the attributes from this panel here and paste them onto this panel here. So I'll just make sure I've got the correct attributes selected, and then I can simply select this panel, and you can see that has instantly changed. So it's a really quick way of building up a design and changing things using paste attributes. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is add some stitches. So I'm simply going to go stitches by panel, select the edges of my panel I want to apply stitches to, apply those stitches, and there we go, my stitches have been applied. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is turn on the rest of my stitches. Again, these have just been saved onto another level, so you can see I have a variety of stitches on this model. I have some double stitches, and if I just open up the stitch library, you can see there is a variety of different stitch styles that can be applied to the model. So just to change these stitches down here, I'm just going to select one of my stitches that were saved onto a level, and I'm going to again use paste attributes just to paste the attributes of this stitch because I want it to look like, this stitch to this stitch because I want them to look the same. So there we go, perfect. Okay, so once I've done this, again, I can move through the model and I can add piping. You can see I've got two sets of piping here. I can also add punches to the model, so I've got some punches added here as well. And I can also add some accessories, so you can see I've got some accessories added. So again, I've got a wide variety of libraries. So I have a punch library, I also have different pipings for my library, and I also have a library of accessories here that can be added to. So the next thing I'm going to do is add some lacing. So I'm going to choose my style of lacing. These can also be customized by the user. I'm going to just select the eyelets that I want my lacing to pass through, right click, and my lacing is automatically generated. So the next thing I can do is I can select this piping here, and again I can use paste attributes just to paste the attributes of the piping onto my lacing, just so I've got the same materials. Okay, so I do have a slight problem here. I've got some of my stitching just passing over this. This lacing is just lying a little low, so I can just double click on it, and I've got this editor here, and this allows me to edit my lacing. So I'm just going to lift it upwards. There we go, perfect, and select OK. Okay, so this is my upper complete. So the next thing I can do is add a sole unit. So there's a few ways to add sole units using Shoemaker Pro. So I can either use the wizards located down this left-hand side, or I can use the advanced tools and build myself a sole using PowerShape, or I can also import a sole from an external source. So the first way I'm going to show you is to use one of the wizards. So I'm just going to use the Sports Sole wizard. I'm just going to hide the panels for the moment, and as you can see, the Sports Sole wizard gives me a set of lines. So the top line is a profile line, so this is the top line of the sole, and this bottom line here is the line where it drafts away from the last. So I'm just going to turn on my own set of bite lines. I'm just going to swap these over. So I'm going to go top profile, swap for top profile, and again bottom profile, and then select OK. So Shoemaker will now start building my Sports Sole using my own profile lines. Once this is done, again, I'm just going to select a view, there we go, and I'm going to turn on the rest of my panels. So you can see that my Sports Sole has been created, and I can do a few things to edit this. So the first thing I'm going to do is just increase the welt thickness slightly, because as you can see, I've got some stitching coming through here, and I'm also going to increase the bottom fillet radius slightly. So this is just the sort of curvature I've got on the bottom here. So once I'm happy with those, I'll just preview. And those are perfect, so I'm going to select OK. So you can see there's a whole colour-coded graphic here, so I know exactly what I'm changing when I'm changing those values. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reselect the sole, and I'm going to change the sole shape. So I can either do this by using the bottom profile of the sole or the side profile. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this node here. I'm going to pull this around into a better position. And I'm also going to pull these up here as well, just slightly. And I can do this as many times as I want. I can come backwards and forwards into this mode. Okay, so you can see that I've been given a preview here of what my sole will look like, and now Shoemaker is rebuilding my sole, taking into account the changes I've just made. So if we just take a look at it, you can see all of those changes have been made, and I can now add a colour. So again, I'm going to go back to my materials library. I'm going to go to winter. I'm going to drag on just a nice shiny colour, and let's just make it slightly whiter. There we go, perfect. Okay, so as well as creating a sole, I can also import a sole. So I'm just going to delete this sole for now. And I've also got a sole that has been created using the advanced tools within Shoemaker. So you can see that I've just added a bit of detailing here with the Delcam logo and spider. And now that I've got a complete model, I can create different variants of this model. So I'm able to save different colorways of the same model into the same .shu file. So this is a great tool for building up ranges, choosing different colorways, and presenting different colorways. So I can simply select all of the panels, apply a different color, again with all of the piping, add a new color, and once again, finally, just the laces as well. So you can see that I have a whole new colorway and design here. So I can just, again, register this as my second variant. When I drag and drop these, you can see they change automatically. So I can build up this entire library to as many colorways and designs as I want. Okay, so alongside Shoemaker Pro, we also have Sole Engineer. So this is either bundled with Shoemaker Pro or as a standalone product. So this allows us to create sole units as well as molds. It also has the full PowerShape functionality, but includes footwear-specific grading. Okay, so once I have completed a model in Shoemaker Pro, I can take it down a few different avenues. So this could be through to rapid prototyping, so 3D printing, or it could be taken through to Engineer to create the patterns, or it can be taken through to KeyShot to create marketing materials. KeyShot is now integrated within Shoemaker Pro. It allows us to generate photorealistic renders that can be used to cut down on prototyping. It also allows us to create animations as well as 3D rendered images that can be embedded into web browsers. So as you can see here, I have an animation of my shoe that has been just designed within Shoemaker Pro. Okay, so once we've got that .shoe file, we can save it into the cloud, where it can then be opened up into the factory, and we can use Engineer Pro to generate 2D footwear patterns. We can also use drag and drop capabilities to apply custom edge templates, as well as grade our patterns. So I'm just going to open up Engineer Pro, and I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration on how Engineer Pro works and what it's like to use. So as you can see, I have my patterns open here in the window. And these patterns have been simply brought through from Shoemaker Pro. So Shoemaker Pro has automatic pattern making capabilities, and it has taken all of the information that I've input. So this is the piece creation. I've also added some edge treatments. It then takes all of this information and creates a set of patterns for me. So these patterns aren't perfect, but I can always edit them. So the first thing I'm going to look at is this front mudguard area here. So I'm just going to select this area. I'm going to turn off the master. So you can see I have this piece here, and I can turn on the construction lines to see how it's been created, and I can edit these construction lines in order to change this piece. So I can change how it's been sprung and mirrored. And when I'm happy with how it's been sprung, I can simply right-click and my piece has been edited. Okay, so we can also edit any of the markers. So I can simply select these and edit them using this area here. So if I just select edit, I can edit the size, the distance they are away from the line, and also I can toggle them to face the correct position. Okay, so we'll just look at the counter piece now. So as you can see, this piece has been sprung over this mirrored over this line here. I can also add a close seam. So Shoemaker doesn't understand that I need a close seam on this area here, but I can very simply drag and drop a close seam myself onto this area. Okay, so once I've completed my patterns, I can simply select them all. I'll turn off the construction line so we just have the outer pieces, and you can see that we have a finished set of patterns. So Shoemaker does try to create patterns for you, but it does need a little help at times. So what we'll do next is simply grade these patterns. So I will go to grading, and I can simply select the sizes that I want to grade. And select grade. So all of my increments have already been added. So when I grade, it will just naturally grade these pieces. So let's just close the form and take a look at a single piece. So you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 graded sizes. And I can always change these and do half sizes if I want to. At the moment, they're full sizes. So I can also take a look at how they grow. So if I just select this corner here, you can see how the sizes change. Okay, so with my patterns finished, I'm just going to go back to the presentation. And bundled within Engineer Pro is Stitch Tech. So Stitch Tech allows us to design upper holding palettes as well as stitch paths, and these are for auto-stitching machines. So alongside Engineer, we also have another product called Pattern Cut, and this allows us to automatically nest and cut pattern pieces. And here we have a cutting table cutting those pieces. We also have knife cut, and this allows us to directly nest and cut upper materials. So this could be synthetic materials or leathers. And here we have a cutting table with a leather material being cut. Okay, so the next piece of software we're going to look at in the factory area is Shoe Cost. So Shoe Cost allows us to create a detailed costing report. So this includes costing materials, components, labor, as well as overhead costs. So Shoe Cost takes the same .shoe file, extracts the information from Engineer, so this is all of the boundaries and pieces that we just created, and it allows me to nest those pieces onto synthetic materials as well as leather materials. So I'm just going to open up Shoe Cost now, and I'm just going to give you a quick taste of what Shoe Cost is all about. So here is Shoe Cost, and you can see my file is already open. So I have some images. So here I have just a quick render of my shoe. I also have my logo, and along here I have my cost bar, and I also have my pieces from engineer down here in the parts area. So this cost bar tells me that I already have some of my some of my parts already costed. So you can see that I have these pieces here nested with a default leather. So you can also see that my cost bar has this little blue area, and this represents the parts that have been costed. So if I just hover over this, you can see that the percentage target of my costing that's already been achieved is 19%. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the remaining pieces. And I'm just going to apply a synthetic material. So I'm just going to go and apply a default synthetic material. And as I drag this on, you can see all of my pieces have been nested automatically onto a synthetic roll. So if I just pick this piece here and I double click on the layouts, you can see here are all of my pieces nested onto this roll. And if I just go into User Assessor, I can change the way these have been nested and see the change in wastage. So I can also nest second parts or secondary parts in any areas that are available on this, this sheet here. So again, this can reduce wastage. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is go into the components area. I'm going to add a few components to my model. So I have here a library of, or database, sorry, of all of my components that are available. And if I select them, I also have all of the properties of these components. So I have the supplier references, the prices, and the pack details as well. Okay, so I'm just going to drag and drop the sole on. I'm going to grab some laces. I'm also going to grab some eyelets. There we go. And maybe some documents as well, so I'll just get a guarantee on there. Okay, so I can also change any of these quantities as well. So at the moment I've only got 2 eyelets, I need far more than that, so I'll just put 12, press enter, and you can see I've increased the amount of eyelets that I've got. It also increased the price here. So this yellow area, I have now got £3.51 worth of components. And you can see that this is reflected in the cost bar here. So this is in the yellow area here. So if I hover over this area here, you can see that I've now achieved 54% of my target. So the next thing I can do is add some labour cost. So let's add maybe £3 labour cost. And again, you can see this is reflected in the cost bar here. So the next thing I can do is add just some more extra information. So I can add maybe a season. So we'll go spring, summer, 15. And a design type, so we'll just go, maybe call this just men's casual. Okay, so once I've done this, I can create a report from this information. So I can either do this in a HTML format, so I've got all these main reports, I've also got a bit of material and a seasonal report here, or I can also just select Control, Alt and E, and I get an Excel report created from all of these tables. So I have my parts here with all of the information from the columns. I also have my materials, again, with all of the costing information. And I also finally have my components, again, with their descriptions, costs, as well as their references. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the presentation. And we're going to move on to the final piece of software we're going to look at today. So this is TechPack. So TechPack allows us to create custom technical documentation. So this is taking all of the information that's been input into the .shoe file. So that's all of the information from shoemaker, all of the information from engineer, as well as shoe cost. It takes that information and applies it to a customizable template. So this can then be directly annotated, or it can be edited, and then it can be published in either a HTML or PDF format. So the idea behind this is we are eliminating any miscommunication or quality control issues. So as you can see down here, we have some of the images that have been taken from Shoemaker. So all of these outside views, top views, front views, back views, bottom views, and inside view. These have all been taken from Shoemaker. So in this page here, we have our information from engineer. So this is all of the part information in these images. And then we can also take these images and we can create diagrams from them. So this is a diagram describing some stitches. We also have some machinery, and this has been taken from a database that is stored within TechPack. So again, I just have a skiving instruction page here with the same machinery taken from the same database. And I've also added a skiving legend. So finally, I have some information about grading. Okay, so that is the end of our workflow. And just to summarise what I've shown you today. So today we've seen that CRISPIN offers a complete footwear design to manufacturing solution. So we're also aiming to reduce lead time and costs. Again, this is in both the designing and the production of the footwear. And finally, we've seen that all of the CRISPIN products utilise the single .shoe file format. So this is for complete software integration. Thank you very much.